like to call the July Elizabethton Board of Education meeting to order. At this time, if I could have everyone please stand for a moment of silence, followed by the pledge to the flag led by Mr. Van House.
Please pause for a moment of silence. Thank you. Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I declare that my spouse and daughter is employed in the school system as a nutrition employee and system-wide social worker, and that any vote that I cast on issues that might have an effect upon the employment of my spouse and daughter is made in the best interest of the school system. The matters to be addressed in the board meeting about which I make this declaration are the following: agenda item 8P and 9A.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Isaacs. Okay. It is now time to approve the consent and regular agenda. Do I have a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve the consent and regular agenda.
And a second?
Second.
Second? All right. Any comments, questions, anything there?
I'm going to recuse myself and not vote at this time.
All right.
Consent.
Okay. All right, then. All those in favor of approving consent and regular agenda, please say aye. Aye. And any opposed? There are none. Motion carries. Now it is time for citizens to speak, and there are two places for that. We did not have anyone sign up for the first time for citizens to speak. We also have time for citizens to speak regarding ESSER planning and the American Rescue Plan funding. We did not have a citizen sign up for that, but I believe we do have one who would like to share. Are we okay with that as a board? Okay? Yes. All right. Mr. Little, you want to come forward? If you'll come here, and if you'll give us your name, your address, and then we try to stick to that 5-minute time.
Okay.
Okay.
Chris Little, 165 Clay Little Road. That's in Valley Forge, but my daughter went to Elizabethton High School. I'm not sure the qualifications on the funding and stuff. All I'm going to ask is that we can, try to look at things that we can do to help the kids, things that can make their life better jobs and employment, things that can help them moving forward. One of the things we have is the flight program at Elizabethton High School. We've got that really nice simulator, but are we taking that program a step far enough? Guys, a 150 airplane costs $22,000. These kids can be getting at least their privates, or they could be getting their solo flight in it. An airline pilot, that's a $12 million career job. I mean, it's huge. So are we doing enough to try to move that? Are we trying to take that in any other possible form or way that we can? You look at some of the other schools down at Greenville, they have a retired Air Force guy, $800, he gets them through their solo. But, we have the airport here. I would just say, is there some ways that we can look at that to see if we can expand that to help the kids a little more? On the other end of that, Northeast State has the A&P program. This is airplane and power plant. Those guys make $85 to $95 an hour, okay? Now, you can't get your A&P in high school, but what if in our auto mechanics we were able to come up with a couple of timed out engines where those kids could play around with them and learn something about it and strike that interest, so maybe they want to go to Northeast State and get into that A&P program. $85 to $95 an hour is what they charge. That's not parts. That's per hour. Physicians aren't making that. okay? But that's something that we could train our kids in here, that they could get good jobs and future employment. In the trades, I don't know what we're doing, within the trades, but both of my two neighbors are contractors. For the last 2 years, they've been shorthanded. They can't find anybody who knows how to build walls. So, what are we doing in the trades? Is there a way that we can take that another step? We've got the homeless committee within the county commission. Happy Valley is building the little storage sheds. Is there a way that we could build storage sheds that we could put a commode and a sink in it and make homeless housing out of it and work with one of the programs so the kids are getting actual hands-on trade? They're learning how to do this, and then maybe get some internships with some of the local construction companies. Some of these kids may be picked up. Not everybody's going to go to college. But if these kids know how to work, my neighbor, he tells me he's offering $15 to $17 an hour, and he can't find anybody because nobody knows how to tape measure. If these kids play with wood, or they learn how to play with wood, they learn how to build a wall, they get that interest, they get a little internship. Here's our construction people and maybe our contractors for tomorrow here in Elizabethton. Last thing is the dual enrollment. This is just toward the board, but not toward the spending of the funds. But, it would be great if we saw what we call a 4-in-1 plan. The kid's fourth year in high school was their first year in college. That would knock the cost of a college education off 25%. You're talking 1 year less of housing. You're talking 1 year less of food and everything else when their kids go off to school. My daughter's a graduate from here. I don't feel like it was really pushed to her. She ended up taking 15 hours instead of 30. That would have been a big help if she would have got her humanities. The band director, can we teach music appreciation? Are there other things that we could teach that would meet that college curriculum, that we can get these kids and get hours off of them so when they go in, one, they're not having to take 18 hours every semester. Maybe they can take 12 at once if they've got a really hard course, but they've already got the hours built up. Number two, the cost. How much is that going to save the parents? If they're having to go off somewhere and go to school. So is there a way that, I'm just saying, look at that, see what we can offer to the people, what can we push, what can we do for the dual enrollment to get those kids and get them out there. That would be a big help for the parents, and that'd be a big help for the kids that want to go on to college.
All right. Thank you, Chris. Appreciate that. Right under the time. That's good. Good timing. So, any comments? You have anything?
Just a couple things I would like to mention. It's ironic that you talk about dual enrollment on the agenda tonight, dealing with dual enrollment agreements with Northeast State and with ETSU. My son's been involved in the aviation program, and just we had 5 students. I think we should be up to 5 by the end of the summer. That's so low this summer. So we're working on that, as well as the private pilot's license. They're going to have to do that through, in talking with Mr. Mills, they'll have to do that through the airport up here, but they can do it at a much lower rate. Like for instance, the best aviation, maybe the only school in Tennessee that has an aviation program is MTSU. So we're partnering with them. We have 4 dual enrollment credits they could get there as well. They take the course here. If they pass the MTSU end of course exam, they get that credit. So we're working on some things like that. But part of the aviation challenge is when these kids go to school, if they go for a 4-year degree, not only are they paying what a typical college student would, but they're also paying for all of those hours, like you mentioned, to get all these things. So our students will have the opportunity to go there and have their solo and their private pilot's license, plus an additional 4 aviation credits. And then if you look at just the basic ones we have with Northeast State, there's somewhere between 18 and 21 credit hours that they could earn there. So you're talking about some significant time, and I was looking at that for my son. He's decided to go a different route, but I can speak to that personally just because he's been involved in that. So there are opportunities there, and we're always looking to expand there, but it is a fantastic program. And you are right, the rate that they were able to solo and even get their private pilot's license is thousands and thousands of dollars less than what MTSU would charge them. So it's significant. It's in the tens of thousands of dollars cheaper. So we're working on both those things. You're exactly right on the trades. We've had many conversations with TCAT about trying to find some ways to partner. A real challenge for us right now at the high school is just space to start these programs. So we're looking at some other ventures down the road in the future that maybe we can start looking at some of those things that we can tie in with TCAT and start pushing students that way, maybe their fourth year, as well as some programs inside our school that we can do that as well. So maybe they can leave with a certificate from TCAT. So yes, we are working on those things. Those are all great points. And you're exactly right. Every kid's not going to go to college, and we need to make sure we find somewhere for every kid that walks through that door to plug in, and that's what we're working on every day. So thank you very much.
There was a girl who just graduated from Daniel Boone 2 years ago. She graduated with 63 credit hours.
That's impressive. I mean, that's about it's halfway to a degree. Halfway to a 4-year degree.
Yeah.
So.
All right, but thank you. I don't think anything you said was not, something that people up here don't think about, so I appreciate that. Okay. Next, it's time for our special recognition. I'll go ahead and turn it over to Mr. Van Huss.
Absolutely. If Coach McLeod and Coach Wilson, if you all will come up and share this recognition.
Well, this was the first year for Tia Duggar Track that we went to the state championship in Cookeville, right? Yeah. Sorry, I'm not from Tennessee, so I get confused over all the Cookeville, Clarksville. Okay. And it was really exciting, all the students that got to come and participate. And Jeremiah Norris was one of our 8th graders that came, and we had a lot of hope for him. We were all really excited, and he ended up doing very, very well in all of his events that he participated in. But he did come in first in the 110-meter hurdles, and that's first out of all boys in Tennessee. And so we want to recognize that effort, because that wasn't something, there is a lot of just God-given talent that you can have in a sport, but a lot of it is dedication and hard work. And Jeremiah is one of those athletes and students that put in those hours and really was dedicated to what he did. And so Coach Wilson and I were so excited. You can ask his mom. I was in tears as he crossed the finish line, because I do know how hard he worked for that. And that's what we get into coaching for, is to push these students, to push these athletes, to help them understand that they are capable of really great things. And so all of that credit should go to Jeremiah for his hard work. Do you have anything to add?
It's been a pleasure to coach Jeremiah and to get to know his family. He comes from a really good family. During the regular season, the track season, I think he finished first every time in the high jump, 100 meters, and hurdles until we got till the end of the season. So that's amazing. I've never seen that done before. I've been coaching track a few years, so great job, Jeremiah.
Come on up, Jeremiah. We've got a special plaque for you.
If y'all can maybe come right here and maybe try to center up right here. Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, congratulations.
I'm not aware of another individual junior high state champion in
No.
anything. I know that our girls basketball team won a state championship a few years ago at the middle school level, but I don't remember
Individually, I
one.
don't.
So that's quite an accomplishment. Congratulations.
Yeah, and good luck over the next 4 years.
Pressure's on.
Forward to it.
Pressure's
yeah.
on.
No pressure, yeah. Just keep winning. That's all we ask. Okay. All right.
Absolutely.
And now is, if anybody needs to go, this is a good time to exit. We appreciate you being here. And Next, we'll move on. It's time for the director's update.
Thank you, Mr. Pless. Just a few things. We're just continuing to work toward the opening of the school year. Lots of things to do. We are excited about the potential for a somewhat normal year, although we are closely watching the Delta variant of COVID-19 and exactly how that will play out for us. I have attached, or I have given everyone, you should have a copy of a reopening plan. And at this point, just some highlights there. We're going to continue to focus on good hygiene, hand washing, those type things. Really working with the kids that, even though, the last school year is over and it looks like we're on the other side of this, those are still good practices that we've always focused on, but we're really going to continue to do that. We saw very little effects from the flu from last year. So I think a lot of that had to do with a lot of those protocols that we had in place. So we're really focusing on some of those things. We're going to social distance as much as we can in classrooms and in other areas. But we're also looking toward getting students back to somewhat a normal routine, what they're used to. So we'll continue to work toward that. At this point, my recommendation to you is that we move forward with highly encouraging mask usage for those, especially those that have not been vaccinated, but not making that a requirement. However, again, as I mentioned before, that may change, in the next few weeks depending on the situation. So we'll continue to review that, but at that point in time, that's the way that we would start. And again, I know parents are going to be excited, but 5 days of instruction. Now the kids may not be excited about that, and I don't know. Maggie may want to weigh in on that in a minute, but no, just kidding. But that is our plan at this point. You can look over that. There's a lot of detail in there that we don't necessarily need to cover, but we are looking forward to the start of the school year. So all those things that we normally do, we focus so much on summer school, wrap that up, and it went extremely well. And then all of a sudden, school's going to start in about 3 weeks. So all those efforts, thanks to all the administrative team and the team here at the central office and in the schools that are working so hard to get everything ready on that. Just wanted to let you know that Deborah Owen, our board attorney, will be here on July the 22nd. That's a Thursday, and she'll be here in the boardroom at 8:30. She's going to present a couple of topics. She's going to do a legislative update overview for our administrators, as well as talk about some items as far as documentation when doing investigations and things like that. So we would love for you to be here. You're welcome to come. Again, that's at 8:30 on the 22nd. So we look forward to. She's always great. Her insight, and we're very fortunate to be working with Miss Owen. Again. Several of us are on our way to the Summer Law Institute in Gatlinburg that TSBA hosts annually. So we're looking forward to that as well. We'll be there tomorrow and half a day on Saturday. I would be remiss if I didn't welcome Maggie Cole, our student liaison. This is her first board meeting, so we're excited to have you. We were fortunate enough a few weeks ago, myself, Mr. Hensley, and Dr. Mitten, we were able to meet with Maggie and another student about the ESSER plan, and we had a really good discussion. I think I wore them out. I probably gave them too much information. It's like an hour and a half later, and I know they were just like, please stop. I'm sorry I asked. No. But it was great. They had some great ideas about the high school and some of the programs and building, some of the things about the facility that we're going to look at to try to take care of as well. So thank you very much for that and your willingness to come and share. So would you like to share anything right now?
I just want to say I'm very excited to serve with you guys for the next school year, and I'm going to do my very best to keep us connected with the student body, connected with you guys.
Awesome. That's great. Thank you so much. And that's all I have, Mr. Pless.
All right. It's now time for board reports. I know we may have things after the Law Institute next week, but is there anything anybody has to report? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move on to City Council Liaison Report. Mr. Simmerly? Yeah, long walk.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Hope everyone's enjoying their summer.
Yeah, yeah.
I know I had vacation last week and came back to work this week, and I wish I had not come back to work this week. Always vacation's always fun like that. Not many things I have to talk with you about tonight. Just I know we had spoke earlier in the day about the agenda, and I think Felicia, you're going to try to. I get part of it, but I'm not getting all of it. So thank you for that. On your funding, all the funding, as you know, all the requests and everything has. We had our second vote. It went to Nashville. At least how we're set up with the city and the state, everything's approved. Of course, we have to wait for the state to come back to us and say, check the box. Yes, we voted unanimously to pass our budget, and it is all official. So the funds we had set aside for school board and all that is all good to go. Continually, the city, we've been so blessed on our income tax income. Each month we have a projected income forecast, and our revenues continue to exceed forecasts. And John, don't quote me on the exact number, but they come in about 10 to 20% over our budgeted forecast. And what that means to school board is, you get your percentage of that. And so again, each month those revenues are continuing to come in much higher than they were prior year, as well as even our budgeted forecast revenue. So that's good. So keep coming to Betsy and spending your money. We appreciate the tax income. Talk to you about that. I do want to say one note, and I wish Chris had stayed. I've had quite a bit of experience. I worked as a financial officer for our own company we started a few years ago in Charlotte, and the boss one day wanted to buy an airplane. So I can write you a book about the cost of an airplane. We were looking at a Learjet, we were looking at pilots, we were looking at maintenance, we were looking at insurance, we were looking at legal, hangar fees, landing fees, on and on and on. Rent an airplane, don't buy one. Finally, on the COVID funding, the city, we have a little bit of money we're getting from the government as well on I call it COVID relief, but we're getting our money. And at least in our last budget meeting, in our last actually city council meeting, we discussed, and just it helps us to keep the money separate and keep it easier. We're setting up a separate bank account that when we get that funding. And I don't know how you guys are going to do, work with your money. I know you're very clean, and you've got, you're good. All your budget, monetary funds are very clean. You've never had any problems on, any checks or audits. But again, just with the city, at least, that was one thing that our CPA, Preston Cobb, and he's a wonderful, fine young man. But that was one thing that he thought would be a good idea, just to keep it that much cleaner, to open a separate bank account up for those funds once they're come from the state, to keep those deposited. That's all I have tonight. Appreciate your time. It's always good to see everyone. And looking forward to getting T.A. Duggar started.
Yes, sir.
Good to see you. I just want on the record that I had PT today, and Mr. Egler was also there with a shoulder, and we're the two people that help you tear down your barns. And so somehow we're going to send the bills to you
As long as you
for our
don't call,
PT.
as long as you don't call
No,
my insurance company,
you
we're good.
knew
And as
our-
a matter of fact, I got a shoulder problem too from that.
Oh, well, all right.
That makes three of us.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Mr. Simmerly. Okay, now it's time for the regular agenda. First item on the agenda, to ratify creation of up to 15 instructional assistant positions to staff the Tennessee All-Core in-school tutoring program to be funded using ESSER 3.0 and state funding. Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve, and a second?
Second.
Second. All right. Any discussion? I think we had talked about that in a previous.
Yes. The last meeting you approved the 4 positions for teachers, one for each elementary school and one for T.A. Duggar. And then what this is additional assistance. So that teacher will be the lead of that program in each building, and then we'll have some instructional assistants to help them with that work. And we've really tried to focus on hiring individuals that have teaching certificates. So it's a twofold plus for us. Number one, it's someone that's had that training. And then number two, it's also an opportunity for us to see how those individuals work. So when we do have openings within the system, teaching openings, that's so it's just another chance for us to basically do a full-time interview of someone. Mm-hmm. So what I can tell you is that number 15 is already significantly below that. I think that we can do it probably for 10 positions, and we're continuing to tweak that, looking at our student numbers. But Dr. Newman and I had a conversation today with Dr. Lisa Coons with the State Department about our plan and the way we want to structure the program, and she was very excited about it and was actually walking across the hallway to talk to the commissioner as well. And so we've submitted our intent to apply for this, and we should have that approval. That's just basically a formality. That includes the numbers of students that we're talking about serving, which is roughly 25% of the student population in each grade. Grades 1 through 8 would be what that is. And again, it's low numbers of students. It's a ratio of 1 teacher to 3 students. And again, we would do that during the school day. So that eliminates any type of conflict after school, transportation, all those things. So I think this has the opportunity to, from an academic standpoint, really take us to another level. So again, it says up to 15 because I know we can do it for less than that. So my plan will be, once we finalize this by next month, I'll report back to you exactly how many of those that we hired.
Full-time positions?
Full-time positions, yes.
For 3 years?
3 years, yes, sir.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? Okay. Items to ratify creation of up to 15 instructional assistant positions to staff the Tennessee All-Core In-School Tutoring Program to be funded using ESSER 3.0 and state funding. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Next item, approve the agreement between Elizabethton City School System and the Elizabethton Police Department for the School Resource Officer Program for the 2021-2022 school year. Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
And a second?
Second.
Second, all right.
I can tell you that at the city council meeting last week, they also approved this agreement, and so we're so blessed to have Chief Shaw and the entire department, the SROs that work in our buildings with our students. They're incredible. They do such a great job, and the benefit that they've provided to our students to see a police officer in a non-threatening role has just been tremendous for our kids to see that, you know, someone in uniform is not an enemy. So we're just blessed to have the caliber of individuals that we do in these roles. And again, we thank the city for approving the agreement. The good news is, and I think I mentioned this maybe a couple of months ago, but the state is extending the SRO grant. So we will receive basically $35,000 of state funding for the 3 elementary positions, and we continue to receive our Safe Schools grant from the state annually, which we push all toward the SRO program. So a large portion of that funding comes from those 2 sections, and then the city, we're blessed that they continue to pick up that. So they've made a big commitment to the school system, and that may be an amount that doesn't necessarily show up in our budget of how they support us, but I think it's important that we recognize that that's an additional support for the school system. We're very grateful.
Any comments or questions? Okay. Items to approve agreement between Elizabethton City School System and the Elizabethton Police Department for the School Resource Officer Program for the 2021-2022 school year. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right. Next item, to approve a grant contract between the State of Tennessee Department of Human Services and the Elizabethton City School District for the period October 1, 2021 through September 30, 2022. Can I get a motion to approve?
Make motion to approve.
Motion and a second?
Second.
Second? All right. Mr. Van Ness, you want to?
So we've had this grant for many years. It's again, this is with the vocational rehabilitation program, and so it's extremely beneficial to the school system, and this is something that we have to approve annually. So we appreciate your consideration for this. We actually have someone that at the high school that's there full time that works with students. So.
Okay. All right. Anything else? All right. The item is to approve a grant contract between the State of Tennessee Department of Human Services and Elizabethton City School District for a period October 1, 2021 through September 30, 2022. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None. Okay. Next item is to approve the 2021-2022 XQ budget for Elizabethton High School. Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
And a second?
Second.
Second, all right.
I've asked Dr. Mitten if he would come tonight and just maybe give you hit a few of the highlights that's included in this budget. We're very blessed to have this funding for Elizabethan High School. It's made a tremendous impact on learning opportunities for our students, and will continue to do that. We have 2 more years with this funding, and so we've already done some amazing things there. Again, not just program-wise, but when you look around the building, there are several things, and he can kind of touch on those. And there's actually an item that's up for your consideration after this that would be funded as a part of this budget. So, Dr. Mitten.
Thank you, Mr. Van Ness. I'll speak briefly to the document that you have, and just some of the. If we went into a bunch of detail, we'd be here all night. I know you don't want to hear that. I'll obviously take as many questions as you want to ask at the conclusion. But we work in concert with XQ, our senior advisor, Sean McClung, and some members from XQ just to work on this budget each year. The budget is built around a set of milestones that are developed by us. We've had a little bit of a difficulty, especially last year, in collecting feedback from our faculty because of the difficult year that we had. 2 years ago, we administered a survey to our faculty about the things that we experienced as a result of the XQ funding, things that they wanted to do, things that they wanted to learn, and opportunities that they wanted to pursue in the subsequent year, which of course last year was obviously very different. And moving forward over the next 2 years, we plan to also involve Maggie and some of our students, some of our student leadership, and just being able to utilize this funding and make it sustainable and use it on things that are going to last for years to come. So I'll just make an example of something last year that was very helpful for us. We used $100,000 last year out of our XQ budget, which was an emergency use to be able to purchase Chromebooks. Mr. Van Ness has talked about that several times. The flexibility in this budget is very friendly to us in that we are able to design the milestones and then design what line items that we want to place. If you look in the line item descriptions, just the 2 blocks over, there are essentially 4 categories: personnel, instructional tools and materials, professional learning, and consulting, which all those I think speak for themselves, in that we have some recommended limits that we would only spend money up to a certain amount or a certain percentage of our budgeted year. But then there's also ways that we can specifically target everything that we do towards student projects and student outcomes, and that's what we have to try to focus on. And so XQ's been very generous to us, obviously you know that, and any time that we take our milestones, it's a lot like building a school improvement plan or a title budget. You just take a set of goals and a set of milestones in this case and direct all the money toward that direction in those 4 categories. I just listed an example maybe of last year, but page 2 for an example for this year, I'm going to read off: the school will provide professional development materials, books, journals, magazines, etc., at regular intervals to support faculty and develop capacity for school transformation. And that's just a small example. $4,200 over the past couple of years. Ms. Nelson, one of our assistant principals, came with a really good idea to provide teachers some professional development materials that they can utilize over the summer. The teachers and the faculty are able to select from a list of books and things that they can take home with them and read over the summer. It's optional material, but in summary, and like Mr. Van has said, one of the things for approval tonight is some collaborative furniture for students to be able to use between A and B Hall. But in summary, as long as it's directed toward advancing the milestones and the original goals of the grant and the intent of the grant, there's a lot of flexibility. It's came in, the use of the funds have been very helpful, and they've came in really handy over the last couple of years, and so we're very, very grateful. I'd be happy to answer any questions about any of the line items now. But essentially, those are the 4 categories, and that's the direction we're moving.
And I wanted to say, I don't think that we're required to vote on this. If I'm not mistaken, the agreement really was different, but we kind of chose this. I just think, first, it is nice to know and be able to hear what's going on, but also they probably need to hear support. So a lot of times it's just maybe we really appreciate you for what we're getting, but again, maybe from a vote standpoint, I think we felt like it might be positive for them to know we do really appreciate from a board standpoint, not necessarily required, but they allowed us to wait to do this, and I appreciate that too.
Yeah, the only thing that they ask for is a single signature of the board chair, but I agree. I think it's good for us to share the information, have an opportunity to ask and answer questions. And like I said, in the coming years, over the next couple years, the plan is to put more input and gather more feedback from all stakeholders, just like we have done with ESSER funding and everything else, to make sure that the remaining funds that we have aren't just things that exist now, but things that we'll be able to see maybe 5, 10, 15 years down the road, from professional development to instructional supplies, materials, furniture, a lot of artwork that's in the school right now, so things that we'll just be able to see for a long time.
I'll echo Eddie's sentiments there. I think it makes it very transparent, where everybody knows what's going on. It's not just one person making decisions, and that's why I appreciate Eddie not taking it upon himself to sign it, but make it a board vote, even though it's not required. And again, we appreciate XQ for what they've provided for our students. So
I just want to speak just briefly to, in my conversations with Dr. Mitten, about how flexible they've been. If he has an idea or the team has an idea, and again, he can link it back to these milestones, then we've not been turned down yet.
No.
So as long as it fits in one of those categories. So that's exactly the kind of that's the dream partnership right there. When they let you, they trust what your decisions are. You're the ones that are in the trenches, and so they're letting you make the decision. So we're blessed to be in that type of a partnership.
Any other comments or questions? Thank you, Dr. Mitten.
Yes,
I
sir.
appreciate it. Okay. The item is to approve the 2021-2022 XQ budget for Elizabethton High School. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And there are none. Next item, approve purchase and installation of modular furniture for Elizabethton High School from Kruger International Incorporated, KI, in the amount of $27,555.18. This will be purchased using the XQ funding through a cooperative purchasing contract with Sourcewell. Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve and a second?
Second.
Second? All right. I don't know if there's discussion. For those that, I know it's going to be located, for those of us who are old EHS people, down there next to the old mini theater, those lockers, that space right there in between those two wings that used to have lockers in the middle, and they took those down. I think that's part of what you're talking about, right? So
So the goal is just to have some other collaborative spaces that classrooms or groups of students could go and use. And the furniture, once we get it in, it'll be worth the trip down to look at it. You can put it together and package it up in a way that it doesn't take up much room, but then when you spread it out, you have all kinds of different options on how you can use it. So it's just utilizing, for years, there are no lockers there. It's just kind of been dead space. So just trying to maximize every square foot we have for opportunities for students to learn.
yeah. And I think when that's done, and even to see the pods, to see what they've done, love to know when it's time to come and see finished product. Okay. All right. Anything else? Okay, the item is to approve purchase and installation of modular furniture for Elizabethton High School from Kruger International Incorporated, KI, in the amount of $27,555.18. This will be purchased using XQ funding through a cooperative purchasing contract with Sourcewell. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Next item. Approve the 2021-2022 dual credit MOUs between Elizabethton City Schools and Northeast State Community College and East Tennessee State University. Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Okay, motion and a second?
Second.
Second. All right.
Any questions on that there? We went ahead and combined these items together because it's essentially the same thing, and in your information you have a list of what those courses are. As I look down through here, I haven't totaled it up, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There's a little over 12 college courses just on the Northeast Agreement MOU that students have the opportunity to use. So again, these are exactly what Mr. Little spoke to. Can we do more? We sure can, and we're going to do more. we're continuing to build on that program, but lots of great opportunities for students that will continue to get better.
Okay. All right. Item is to approve the 2021-2022 dual credit MOUs between Elizabethton City Schools and Northeast State Community College and East Tennessee State University. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. And any opposed? There are none. Next item, ratify increase in purchase order amount to FaciliServe to complete the service and safety upgrades for Elizabethton High School gym bleachers from $50,000 to $55,000. Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Approve, and a second.
Second.
Second. All right, you want to explain that?
Yes,
one?
absolutely. So this is, again, focused on the bleachers in the gymnasium at Elizabethan High School in the balcony. And the current drive system on those, it's chain driven, and basically the motor forces each chain link out, and as it goes, it pushes the next one out, which in turn pulls the bleachers out. So it's a pretty interesting design from a mechanical standpoint. However, it doesn't last very long. So we've had issues with those, as we've talked before, for years and years and years. So the solution FaciliServe has given us is basically they go in, take those chain-driven tracks out, and put a roller system in similar to what we have on the gym floor for those units. And again, part of the original work they've done, they went in and changed all those rollers out. They work phenomenal now. I mean, it's like a new set of bleachers as far as being able to open and close those. So this will give us the ability to open and close those bleachers sections in the top. It'll allow us to utilize them much more than we have in the past. We've limited the use on those because it's so difficult to get them in and out. So it'll provide a lot more flexibility to use those when we need to, and then fold them back up for the space that's behind. Again, this past year, Dr. Minton, they've used that area for overflow for cafeteria space. So this would allow them to do that. In theory, they could do that for the lunch periods, move the tables and chairs out of the way, and open them up and have a pep rally that afternoon. We've not been able to do that in many, many years. So the work, the information that you have there lists the total to do both sides. One side's working decent, one side basically doesn't work at all. It just made sense since they're there to go ahead and do both sections so we don't have to worry about it anymore. And so again, that amount would be under that $55,000 amount.
Any questions? It's hard to believe that school's approaching 50 years old. So, yeah, we're so young. Yeah, it was 13 when it opened. That's wild. Okay. All right. Item is to ratify increase in purchase order amount to FaciliServe to complete service and safety upgrades for Elizabethton High School gym bleachers from $50,000 to $55,000. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. And any opposed? All right. Last item on the agenda is discussion of the director's evaluation. I'll try to be as brief as possible. First, to all those that participated, that would be building level principals and the 5 board members. Appreciate your input and your timeliness in getting that back. And for most of you anyway. But it is a good tool, all right, to be able to look and see first if there are areas that you're exceeding in, to keep up the good work, if there are areas that you need to work on or that are the lower numbers, that gives you something to shoot for, just like a teacher evaluation. The administrator's part was 25% of the evaluation. The school board's part was 75%, and it is on a 5-point scale, 1 being low, 5 being high. So several areas were covered. Basically, tallies were made, and final tabulations. The final score was a 4.67, which is extremely good. So first, in reality, we do want to say thank you for a job well done. Tough year, to step in to be a director of schools, and I appreciate your leadership this year. I know obviously you probably even know better than us things you want to improve on, you want to do better. There was a place for comments. Only one comment was made, and it was basically about just kind of the character and the work ethic and the attitude and what a wonderful job consistently done. And I appreciate that input. I've given Miss Baird copies of the individual reports. Those will be on file. And again, when we do this next year, I will go ahead and let you know. We've talked about letting supervisors be involved in that also, but we would probably not have supervisors. And we did this year have principals sign those, so we probably would do it more anonymously so you could have a little more fun with that. But just think that's probably the right thing to do, since he's a direct supervisor, to be people to have freedom if they felt like there wasn't. I don't think that's the case, but just in case. And then we would still get to sign ours since he's our employee. Any comments or any questions about the evaluation tool or the results? Anything you need to say? You just I use it. Use it however you feel like you need to. And again, I appreciate it. Job well done. Next item on is the regularly scheduled board meeting. The next one will be held on Thursday, August 19th, 2021 at 5:30 p.m. here in the Mac Pierce Boardroom in the offices of the Elizabethton Board of Education, located 804 South Watauga Avenue, Elizabethton, Tennessee. There's room for one more motion. Do I have a motion? We adjourn.
I'll make a motion.
Motion and a second.
Second.
Have a great evening. Thank you all for being here.
Honeymoon is over.
Yeah, the honeymoon is over. Yes, that's right.
And I will
That's right, it is.
I think that's a great idea. I think once we kind of see what happens with this next round of
On that, we're going to have to talk.
Yeah, just remember, y'all leave early. Oh, gosh. Yeah, I mean, I think he's going to pick us up.
you know, the front office out there with that other side.
I think he'll pick us up on where you going. Are you on? You're going on the trip, right?
Yeah.
So I think he'll pick you up at your house, or maybe leave us. Yeah.
Walk in the door, we turn to the left, it's all the administration.
Are you driving?
You turn to the right, it's guys, bookkeeper, and all that stuff. It's great. But we need to be.
All right, we'll see you there. All right.
They do not do that.
And not from that. I've got it's frozen. I heard it is. And I heard it was. So which you have this lab? Really? Well, I mean, I protected my wrist and by doing that. So I didn't know, but it's been about a year I've been protected, so it looks pretty good. Justin's working on it. Yeah, you know what? And then we put that barn up, like I told you, the anthid on out, so we're getting out in there. We have used some, we've done some projects.
I think we would be able to turn it in.
Oh, okay.
Probably within.
Well, thank you, Mike, for everything you do. Good to see you.
And so that would be probably almost a month before most people do. So I think they'll be a turnaround. Because they got their plan, the state plan from the feds, they got it approved today. They sent out a release. Yeah. All righty, thank you. So,
Hey, that went.
I wish you were going with us.
Hey, I wish you were going with us. Exactly. Well, I mean, there's nothing to hide. Well, I mean,
Hey, here's what I tell people. We hired her in spite of you. Guys, she did a good job. I'm going to be smart. I'm just glad it was done. It didn't feel like somebody was sneaking behind backs and shoving it in there.
all in lowercase letters.
I know. Yep. I know. Yes, sir. I agree.
See, I wish you were going with us, we're gonna miss you. The law, have you ever done it? Nashville, the big. Yeah, you doing it? You doing it though? Yeah. Where's it? That's the one at Opryland, yeah. Yeah, I have it right, I have a copy, so we could get him to sign it right now. It's just the budget, it's what? The entire, it's that, I think there's a, what is it?
It's the state.
Oh, it's just TBS.